Hi everyone. Today we will be learning about how to remove punctuation symbols, white spaces and numbers from a normal text file. We are going to create a text file where we are going to identify them, punctuations, white spaces and numbers. So this will be possible with a very simple function called as isAlpha. IsAlpha is a function which will help us to identify how good a alphabet can be identified other than your punctuations, white spaces and numericals. So let's write a program to identify with your help of a program, with your help of your Python language. Now let's start it by importing your simple package called as string. Okay, so this string will help us to identify the file name. So that's the reason we are importing the package called as string. So in this, now let's define one function called as clean text. So I'm going to define one function called as clean text. So in this function, I'm going to pass the text as an argument. So in this function definition, I'm going to, I'll show you first the text file, how it will be visible. So this is the text file what I want to actually consider. So where it contains your characters, the strings, the words, and all the combination of your punctuation symbols and everything. Okay, so I have given as a new line characters, and also I have included some numerical values and everything. So let's find out how it will be identifying. So for this, I'm going to clean this text. For that reason, we have defined a very well-known with our useful usage words like clean text. So let me create one variable called as clean text, and I am cleaning the text and I am joining them. So let me join all the words, because if you observe your input the input text file, we have all the files where all the characters and all the numerical values which were in between them. That's the reason we are going to identify them, the individual things. That means whichever it is, alphabet and everything. So for that reason only we are going to identify them. So in that reason, I'm going to start it like this. So I'm going to read character for char. That means I'm going to use your iterative loop. In that, I'm going to identify the text whether it is belonging to an alphabet or not. So this simple method will identify whether the given text, whatever we are passing it as, the character alphabet or not. So for that, I am just returning your clean text. So now let's define because as we are going to access this using your file, we should access the file using the permissions. So for that, let me define another function called as clean file. In this file, I'm going to pass these two arguments. One is your input file, okay, and output file. I'm going to pass these two as the arguments inside your input file and output file. So let me try it, because if you want to access any input file or input file which is to be existed, so Python might raise you an exception. For that, what we'll be doing is we'll be checking whether this file has been really existed or not. That's the reason, in order to handle such exceptions, we are going to use try and except blocks. So the useful keyword to open your file is your with keyword. So I'm going to use your function called as open. Open will generally identify. So I'm going to use your input file. So whatever we got as an argument with your read permission, because we are going to identify that file as read permission only. I'm going to open this using your variable called as file. So I'm going to store this entire thing into a variable called as content, and in this content I'm going to read it using your read function. Okay, next, now this content we will be, after reading this content, we should pass this content to your clean text. So now I'm going to use another variable called as cleaned content, where I'm going to pass this into your clean text, where I have defined and I'm passing your content. Okay, so now we have read the content using your read permission, and I'm storing that the read details into your content variable, and I'm passing that content to your clean text function, where that clean text function, after identifying each and every character as an alphabet, whichever it was available in your input text as an alphabet, and I'm storing that into your clean content. Now we will write the new content into a new file. So we will even write this content. So for that, again, I'm going to open a file called as output file. So for this output file to write, there is no need to have an existence of that, and I'm going to open this file with your write permissions, and even I'm giving the same variable name. So I'm going to use file.write. So where I'm going to pass, so I'm going to write clean content into that. So that's the reason I've stored that into a variable called as clean content. Okay, and simply I'm just having a message such that it's a confirmation that it has been successfully done. Okay, so we are just printing a simple message that clean content has been written. So clean content has been written to the output file. So I'm just printing a message. So for suppose if there exists no such file, we should handle it using your except. So the exception name is your file not found error. So file not found error is an exception. It might raise if, for suppose if there exists no input file, because it will have a concern in opening a existing file. So that's the reason whenever we are opening a file, especially with an operation called as a read operation, it will check the existence of the file first. If not, it is going to raise that error. That's the reason we are handling that entirely in your trained exception block. Okay, so if it is really an exception, so let's provide that error message like the file, and I'm going to give that variable, because the file name whatever we were actually trying to find out from your IDLE was not found. Okay, so this is your function. Now let's pass, because we are using variables over here, so that's the reason now we should pass that input .txt, because we have created input.txt file where I should pass this as an content to your input file. So for this I'm going to pass it like an argument. So make sure the same file was existed in your given folder. Okay, so if not, you should give your entire folder. And I'm also going to open this new file called as input.txt. Okay, so after finding this, I should pass, because we should pass these two arguments to your clean file function. Here we are going to read the contents from your input file, and that content we are passing that to your clean text, and that clean text, the clean content we are writing into your output file. So for that to get executed finally, we should pass these two files into your clean file function. Okay, so let me save this. And this file should be existed in this folder. So for that, actually this file was not available in the current folder. So what I will do is I will go back to my existing location. So let me go back to my IDLE such that it will open to the file where it has been actually existed. Yeah, so I'm copying this, and yeah, this is the where that I want to actually store this. Okay, I will be storing here. Yeah. Now the same file what I have opened, the contents will be visible here. Okay. So now let me access that program. So let me execute this. Yeah. So immediately it has been read and without any exceptions we got. So let's check our folder whether that output file has been created or not. Let me refresh this folder. Yes. So input file, so it has been created successfully as an output file. Let's check output file how it is actually visible. So this is how the output file is visible. Okay, all the alphabets, white spaces and all those things were actually removed and only the text was visible over here. Okay, so this is how actually we can identify and only capture the text files. Okay, for suppose if you want to have a space in between, for suppose if you observe your input file how it has been given without any spaces, because we are joining this without any space. For suppose if you have if you are given a space, it might come as space in between every character because we are identifying character by character here. Okay, so this is not the case where if you want to identify them like a word, it is again a different approach. Okay, thank you. We'll meet you in the next session. Thank you.